All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to cover another DLC scenario for Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. This one was grouped in with the newest, I would say the last batch of DLC scenarios in this game, right? So, Fateful Clash. Let me say right up front, this is one of the better ones that was added to the game. For Well, you already know. If you know, you know, right? I think we've been asking for this one for a while. People have been. This should be another scenario that should be a standard. Okay, let me just say that it should be a standard. So we're gonna rate it on three different things: how unique it is, the replayability, how much mileage can you get out of this one, how many times can you come back to it, try different things, and then the cool factor. Are there some really, really nice situations, really cool things that you can get wrapped up in this one, which, anyway, let's not bury the lead. So, first things first, the unique factor. This is the Tensho Jinjo conflict, fleshed out. We do have a starting date, 1582 in the base game, Like a Dream, but with the inclusion of this one, you don't really need Like a Dream anymore unless you want to experience it from Mitsuhide's point of view and you fight his battle. And actually, I think you might be able. Somebody let me know in the comments down below. Can you fight Mitsuhide's battle against Hideyoshi? Because it's still technically it's before the event kicks off. So you might even be able to still experience Mitsuhide's fight against Hideyoshi. But if you start on this one instead of Like a Dream, you don't get to see the event with Nobunaga. And of course, there's a few things. The Nobunaga survives fictitious route and Like a Dream. There's a few things, but for the most part, this pretty much replaces 1582. The other one, which is probably the other way to call it, is the other one from now on, right? It replaces it because we have an actually fleshed out center. We have a collapsed Oda army, and it's reflected really well. We can see, like, we won't get any more. We're not going to get any more mosh pit type starts after this. Until Osaka, we were not going to get any more variety where there's just tons of daimyo scrambling for territory until Osaka, and nobody plays Osaka. So you can consider this the end of the line, right? This is where this is just a big turning point in the trajectory of this game in terms of factions and which ones are available. And there's a lot of factions here that are just available in the blink. They're gone in the blink of an eye because of what plays out historically. So we've got factions like the guy who was in charge of destroying the Takeda, Kazumasu Takigawa. This is a really, really interesting force. We've got the Sanada, of course. Sanada are stuck in the middle, but there's a lot of opportunity there. Nagayoshi Mori, another good one. These are forces that are just not available anywhere else. Nagayoshi Mori is a daimyo. Kazumasu is a daimyo. The other faction of the Oda, Nobutaka Oda, and as well, Nobukatsu has actually got a pretty interesting start in this one. You know what's funny about this? This might be the one where his trait, widespread mid might be the most useful in this one, ironically. Not the DLC that's named after his start that's focusing on him. This one might actually matter more in this one, which is kind of funny. But he can leverage his alliances. There's a lot more forces to leverage his alliance with. So, anyway, Nobukatsu is another one that's really interesting. We've got Mitsuhide, which more Mitsuhide the better, I say. We still need to get a Mitsuhide's ambition scenario where he actually wins, but maybe in the next game we'll finally get something like that. So there's just a lot of unique forces. We've got deep cuts like the Kawajiri. I think that's how you say that. I always have to look at their names. The Kawajiri, that's a deep cut. We've got the Kiso clan, the guys who I think betrayed the Takeda, if I'm remembering correctly. Helped Nobunaga destroy the Takeda. I mean, the Maida are up here, and they're actually playable, and the Sasa clan as well. This is actually really interesting. What's going on in northern Etchison? Etchison, it's like a three-way split up here. So there's a lot of unique clans that are just either they're not available flat out, like the clans around Tensho, or they are around, like what's going on up here, but their situations are almost hopeless. In this, there's still a chance. You can play as one of these forces, and there's a chance to make some waves. So outside of this, outside of what's going on with Tensho, because this is the focus, the map is pretty much the same. 1582. Everywhere else, it's the same. Hardly any time has passed. This this map is really from here, from where the Hashiba are, all the way over here to where the Hojo are. If you draw two lines here, that's where the change is taking place. That's where the major change is taking place. There might be one or two slightly different things because it's been a couple months. But for the most part, it's everything here is where the new content is. And it's actually enough to, like I said, to give this its own legs. So for the uniqueness, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It's that much of a change. This is a really fun sandbox to be in right here. Okay, now let's get to replayability. Replayability, there is one caveat whenever you're playing after 1582. So after 1582, this game becomes red blob, This game becomes green blob and yellow blob. That's what this game becomes. So Ieyasu, this game starts speed running towards Sekigahara, right? So Ieyasu Tokugawa will take over most of the eastern side of the map, and Hideyoshi will start to lead the Toyotomi and take over the western side of the map. So the game really starts to focus on the yellow blob and the green blob. This is the turning point. Now, to prevent this, to slow it down, I recommend turning off two events. And I'll actually show you guys in case you haven't done it. The first one is Heir to Ambition. Heir to Ambition is what starts what I like to call Hideyoshi's ambition. Hideyoshi's ambition begins with Heir to Ambition, him automatically just wiping out Mitsuhide, and then getting a series of events that basically lead him to take over the map. Okay? You don't want that. It will kill the replayability. So always turn off Heir to Ambition. That pretty much derails everything. And the second event to turn off is the Tensho Jinjo conflict itself. So that's it. The first event is Heir to Ambition, and the second event is the Tensho Jinjo conflict. Tensho Jinjo gives Ieyasu most of Kai and Shinano. So it sets up the two blobs, okay? Those two events set up the two blobs. So my advice is to always turn those off. If you want to play them, play this through one time and you want to see it, I mean, you could just see it through like a dream, but let's say you want to see it through here, okay. But once you want to play and you want these forces, you want a little bit of survivability for yourself, and you also want forces to kind of live on a little bit longer. You don't want the game to ramp so quickly. Just turn off those two events. This event will slow down the yellow blob, and the other one will slow down the green blob. And then, it doesn't mean that they're not going to win anyway, okay? If you don't make any more changes, they're still going to win, but it's going to slow them down so that you have time on the map to establish yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be way too fast. So for replayability, if you're just playing on rails with events, I mean, I'd say maybe a 2 out of 5. If you play and you derail the events, then this is a 5 out of 5. Again, all these forces will be able to persist. They'll survive. They won't be wiped out by events. And you can just keep coming back to this one. I mean, each of these forces is in an interesting spot. I could make another video just talking about the forces that are on this map alone. There's just so many cool, Kazumasu with Marksman. He's also got Keiji Maeda. I mean, you've got Nagayoshi Mori, who's in a kind of a dire spot. He's kind of in a dire spot. His territory is kind of spread out all over the place, but having territory spread out all over the place also gives you opportunity in this game. And of course, he's got Sen. You know what I mean? So the guy's already on top of the world, no matter what happens. He's got Sen. Does Sanada have a lot of opportunity? I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of replayability in this one. It's one of, I think it's almost as good as Birth of Nobunaga in terms of replayability. And that's crazy to say because we're talking about 1582. So the only thing I'd have to knock off of replayability is just that your yellow blob and your green blob is inevitable. No matter who you really play as, that's kind of who you're looking at for endgame. So let's say 4 out of 5 for replay factor. 4 out of 5, because even with you derailing the events, you're still going to have to deal with these two. That's just how it is. That's the end game, no matter what. Without further changing events or taking off more events and stuff like that, right? So that brings me to the last thing, the cool factor, the rule of cool. Yeah, it's great. What can I say? All this stuff here, again, this is one of the funnest sandboxes that you could play in right here. There's so many unique situations. Unique, say it again, unique situations. Kazumasu having one land back here. His roster, again, we talked about Nagayoshi, but also the Sasa are playable. Narimasa's playable as his own force. And I think he's got an alliance with Katsue, actually. In fact, we can check. Yeah, he's a vassal, as is Toshie. They're both vassals to Katsue. So Narimasa can advance east against the Uesugi. Speaking of the Uesugi, they're just coming out of the Civil War. Kagekatsu's just coming out of the bloody Civil War, so they are on a downward trajectory, but they still have hope. There's still a chance in 82, again, for all of these forces, but the Uesugi have a chance because of the chaos. There's just opportunity for them, especially because of Bishamonsen's faith. You can go on a huge campaign and target selectively choose your targets, okay? And say, I'm going to go pick up the Sanada Corps. Of course, who wouldn't, right? I'm going to go down here and get the Kiso guys, pick them up right away. Or I'm going to beeline straight through, pick up Nagayoshi, get all the way down into Kanto. I mean, that's just the Uesugi, which is actually, that's a really cool idea. Again, the Etchison situation is really cool. Katsue's got a chance at stopping Hideyoshi. You could even join Mitsuhide. Speaking of Mitsuhide, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you can fight this battle because I haven't tried. I'm pretty sure that you still can. But even Mitsuhide has, I think, a better chance starting here than he does in his Like a Dream start. Also, I didn't mention the Ikeda, mostly because they're allied with with Hideyoshi. But still, you could do a run as the Ikeda clan where you end up befriending the Akechi instead. So what if you help Mitsuhide fight Hideyoshi as the Ikeda? 3 castle start. There's just a lot of things, Instead of helping Nobukatsu, what if you back Nobutaka instead? Nobutaka is not available in any other start. So here you get Nobutaka, who's kind of I want to say he's kind of Saito-like in the sense that he's got most of the Minnow territories, but he's got a lot of mediocre officers. And in fact, he's got the Minnow Corps with him, I'm pretty sure. So, let's see, are the other guys here? They might be gone. So he's just got what's left, which is Itetsu. So if for some reason you're an Itetsu fan, you've got Nobutaka there with Itetsu and a couple of mid guys just trying to make the best of it. And a reflection of him is also the Kawajiri. So there's a trajectory here with some of these forces where it's like, if you can do Nobutaka, then you can graduate up to Kawajiri, maybe, which is the same situation, very mediocre, but even worse. Less officers, stronger opposition. I don't know. I just see mirrors and possibilities with this start. I just see a lot of endless possibilities with this start. This is one of the coolest starts. Okay? Do not sleep on this scenario. It's top 3 of the new ones. It's easily in the top 3. It might be in the number 2 spot. I don't know. I might have to do a ranking for that. Just rank them all at the very end whenever I get through all these new ones. But coolness factor 5 out of 5. You're literally whatever you can think up. I mean, this scenario, and Koei basically said, here's a bunch of factions that are not available anywhere else. Here they are, just like Birth of Nobunaga. Here they are. Now, what can you come up with? You're just it's just you, your creativity, your skill level. What can you get away with? Well, how far can you skirt the lines here? What can you come up with? But the tools are there in this starting date. The tools are here. There's plenty of unique forces. And yeah, everywhere else on the map, like I said, it's business as usual. It's kind of the same stuff. It remains untouched. But such is the significance of them changing the middle. It's that much of a big impact that just changing this middle. And again, especially at this late in the game, this is the last time that you get a sandbox like this in the game. So anyway, yeah. So those are the ratings. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm trying to keep these kind of short so I don't ramble for too long. But yeah, I'm gonna be covering the rest, and then maybe I'll do a ranking of all of them at the very end. So yeah, if you guys could do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care, everybody.